are live for Championship Sunday here at the IAME Grand National Championships from Trackhouse Motorplex in Mooresville, North Carolina. As always, my name is Caleb Vieska. Joining me here alongside in the booth is the one and only Alexander Searle and Simon Sykes. Boys, it's been a great day of racing so far, and we've seen a lot of great racing action. And how is this angle here that we have? I mean, the drone back this weekend. We actually debuted this drone as well in our early days, and it's back here this weekend. It's great to be back with you boys. Simon, back in the booth here this weekend after having a good year in the USF Pro 2000 side of things as well. 2 podiums for you to end off the year there. And Alex, you're back this weekend with us, and you'll be getting a lot of intel trackside. So Alex, we'll start with you on how you think the racing action has been to this point this weekend.
We saw a lot, right? So on Friday we had this layout, the normal Trackhouse Motorplex layout. That racing was incredible. This racetrack always provides some great action. Yesterday we switched to the alternate layout. I think it provided some more field spread. You saw, which drivers had the best piece underneath them for yesterday's layout, but now we've transitioned back into the normal Trackhouse Motorplex layout. Looking at yesterday's results, especially in the senior categories for KA and X30 Pro Senior, the drivers that I've been looking out for, Hayden Jones, Paulie Massimino, they swept their respective heat races in KA Senior, and Hayden Jones went undefeated in X30 Pro, besides in the shootout, where we saw Ryan Norberg win $5,000.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, Simon, as well, you've been behind, I guess, the scenes a little bit this weekend as well, but I mean, you've definitely had a lot to say about the racing that we've seen, especially throughout all the shootouts and stuff like that. So walk me through how you thought about the shootout and the X30 stuff yesterday and the CNCPE shootout on Friday night with your KA100 Seniors.
Yeah, so first of all, it's been a great couple of days here, and we've tried a couple of different layouts. It's been great to see all this action, the drivers warming up to different layouts, not getting a whole lot of time, just, it's go out there and perform, make sure you got the setup close enough. But it's hard to beat the Classic. I mean, this layout has stood the test of time. It's been here since the beginning of this Trackhouse Motorplex facility, and it's just one of the hard ones to beat, so I'm excited to see more action here today. I would like to go back and even look at the strength of the drivers we saw on Friday running on this layout. I think that will give us some indication of who's going to be looking strong for today.
Yeah, I mean, to say the least, and again, we've joked around a little bit with you as well this weekend. Frankie has been talking about how physical it's been for him running double duty this weekend, both on the KA100 Senior side of things and on the X30 Pro side of things. Simon, you had a lot to say about it. You said a car was a little bit more physical, so I mean, you haven't been in a kart in quite some time, but I guess what's your standing now after seeing how kind of bruised up Frankie is after a long weekend of racing for him?
Well, you can't take anything away from the physicality of karting, right? The grip you have in these corners is every bit matching what you feel in a car. The only added load we have is that G-force in the wheel weight itself. But definitely easy to get bruised up, especially over curbs. You're looking at a lot of ribs getting bruised. That's just a generic thing you see in karting, and it's definitely physical. We were just having some laughs, joking around, and yeah, I'd love to tell Frankie, just go hit the gym some more. But no, all love for Frankie. He's been an incredible driver, both in the karting and car scene so far. It's been a pleasure to race with him this year, and he's provided us with some exciting action this weekend so far.
Yeah, Frankie Mossman definitely having a bright future in motorsports here as he continues, I believe, his USF Pro 2000 campaign next year, if I'm not mistaken, again with the Jay Howard Racing Development Team. But we're on the racetrack now with your Micro Swift drivers for their Sunday warm-up session. Santi Orioli, the quickest driver on the racetrack, when Gottschalk's in second, Jack Katowski in the third spot, boys. And we talk about this time and time again. Whenever these young drivers hit the racetrack every single weekend, they always impress us with the amount of racecraft and with all the action that they bring us. I mean, all these kids were in the fight yesterday, 2 nights ago, whenever they were fighting for their Micro Swift shootout. And the Mini Swifts as well delivered us with some great racing action. And I know, Alex, you're really close with some of these young drivers growing up at the AMR Homestead area, and you've seen a lot of these drivers develop as well. So what's your thoughts been so far on the weekend in this class?
Yeah, I mean, this has been one of the classes to watch, as always, with these young stars. Zane Burgess down there from Homestead as well. He actually runs Mini at the club scene as well, just to prepare himself for the future. Still does micro on the national level. Speaking of Zane Burgess, had a rough qualifying, was late to the grid, missed out on 3 laps. Qualified, 10th for all of his heat races, had a DNF in that first heat on this exact layout. So unfortunate for him, but since then on the alternate layout, he was an absolute rocket. So now back on this layout where we saw, some trouble for him on Friday in the qualifying and in the heat races as well. He's looking to turn around his luck today for the super heat and the main event later on today. One driver that had a lot of success is actually the number 12 machine, SLA Karting, Marcelo Flores. He won that first heat race on the normal Trackhouse Motorplex layout. Look for him to be quick. Lawrence Crammon, I think this has been maybe his standout weekend so far of the year. He put it on the front row qualifying, finished in the front row to round out heat number 1. He's been very, very fast all weekend long.
Yeah, so I mean, again, it's been a very, very good weekend for racing action, to say the least. So it's been quite some time, Simon. I know you've seen a lot of these drivers develop as well. I mean, last year you were in the booth a whole lot, a little bit more behind the scenes this week. But what are your thoughts on that Microsoft class as well after seeing how their racing has developed?
Well, certainly the racing's been great, and it's funny, you always see these kids race at such a high level, well beyond their years. I mean, it's just incredible the development you have and the maturity you see in karting. And just to note on that last Microswift session, we saw some of the fastest laps, Win Godshot going to the top there on the last lap of the session. So the tire progression still climbing through the duration of this warm-up. We're here in the morning, the temperatures haven't climbed too high yet, so you're seeing the tires build heat and pressure as the session goes on. So I'd be looking in these next classes to see those laps come in later than we've seen so far this weekend.
Yeah, the tire, conversation is interesting, right? Because a lot of the drivers, it's been the story all year long, Simon, where, seemingly this year compared to years past in go-karting, and you can kind of attest to this. You were around during the age where there seemingly was a lot of grip out on the racetrack, and then now, again, we're seeing more marbles, more rubber being laid down than ever before here on kart tracks. I know my shoes are getting stuck out there on the scale line alone, and then obviously walking out onto the camera shot last night for the shootout races, I was getting stuck to the racetrack, even on the cut through where they only did a couple of sessions. So it goes to show you how much rubber's being put down with these MG tires, and it's been awesome to watch. But for sure, interesting as well. This racetrack, doesn't have a lot of tire deg. Drivers are able to still set lap times they set, warm up and qualifying on Friday today, most likely. You're seeing it already in the Microsoft classes. Those lap times were comparable to what we saw in qualifying, but it is tough to, compare the warm-up session to what we're going to see in the super heats in the final later today because of how much longer of a session it's going to be later on this afternoon. So you can attest to this as well. Warm-up sessions really just to see if your stuff stays on the go-kart. You don't want anything to fall off, obviously, and then, any little setup change you may make, it may pay off for the super heat. You can't really prepare for the final because it's so much later in the day, but nonetheless, warm-up, always good to get the drivers, up to speed, up to temperature as well. And speaking of temperature, it's been pretty hot out here, Simon. You can kind of say you've been in this booth, and it's really cold in here, so I think, honestly, some drivers may think that you're lucking out. Some people may say, I'd rather be in the heat. I don't know how you feel about it, though.
It's certainly been quite warm outside. Humidity is pretty high as well. In the booth here, yeah, it's been pretty chilly all weekend. They've got that AC cranked for us, and shout out to the amazing staff we have here at Trackhouse Motorplex for providing us this great facility to work out of, and this amazing booth for the whole Kart Chaser crew to let us do our jobs and bring you all the action from the races here at the IAME Grand National Championships. And now out on track now for their warm-up session, the KA100 Junior category, where we've seen some incredible racing over the past couple of days.
Yeah, I mean, naturally, the KA Juniors always provide a lot of racing action, especially around Trackhouse Motorplex, a race where, we saw in the alternate layout more field spread than we've ever seen before, I'd say, in this junior category on the national scene. But back on this normal layout, I like to think of it as there's 3 almost DRS zones, if you want to compare it to like F1, where you have this long front straightaway that's almost flat for these KA Juniors, climb the hill up towards 1, 2, and 3, and then down the hill. So your first real passing opportunity into turn 1, you climb the hill, and then you go back down the hill towards turn 4 for the bowl corner. There's a good look at Nate Golseth there, the Arcane Motorsports machine on the RPM this weekend. He was really quick over at TSRS about a week ago. And speaking of Nate Golseth, we actually have Caleb Vieska down there on the grid with his own very own mechanic, Shaston Johnston. Caleb Vieska, you can take it away now, buddy.
Thank you very much, boys. I'm over here downside, trackside, I should say, on the fence line. We're following along with Nathan Golseth. He's had a very good story as well. So, and we look on here with his mechanic, Shaston. You've definitely had a really good past couple of weeks as well. Nate got his first maiden regional race victory at the Tech Spin Racing Series. What's that kind of been like? I know it was an emotional weekend for you guys last weekend.
Oh man, it was awesome. A lot has gone into that this summer. I think we were only home 2 weeks and all like over the course of the summer. So to see him finally get it done, the hard work pay off. I've seen the kid turn 10,000 laps. Like it was really emotional for me, his parents, Trevor, everybody involved.
And I know Trevor as well was super happy about that. Trev, and I'll ask you as well. Last weekend, Nate was able to get his maiden race victory as well. What did that mean for you guys to finally cross the line in first?
Oh, it was awesome. He played the game just right, and we kicked their butt, I mean, I can't be more proud than what I was when he pulled off the scale line. It was pretty emotional for everyone. I don't think there was a dry eye in the pit. It's really cool.
Yeah, for sure. And Shaston, lastly with you, I mean, I got to mention this weekend as well, you guys have struggled a little bit as well. Just walk me through what you guys have kind of missed throughout the heat races.
Just been struggling with a little bit of the carb setup. Really can't get it dialed in all the way, but I think we got it sorted out now, and we're in a good spot starting P8 in the super heat or super final, whatever it is that we're doing, and I can't keep up. So starting P8 in that, I think we're in a good spot to move forward.
Yeah, well, best of luck for that heat race again. Nathan Golseth qualified second at the United States Pro Kart Series alongside Sebastian Garzone. And I tell you what, boys, if I had a pick going into this KA 100 Junior main event later on today, that'll probably be it for me. Back to you guys in the booth.
Thank you very much, Caleb. Always good to hear from Chasten Johnson and obviously the rest of the Arcane Motorsports crew. For Nate Golseth, this has been a breakout year for that driver. Had his the win over at TSRS, was very quick at USPKS over at MCC, like you mentioned, Caleb, putting it on the front row. That's pretty difficult to do in this KA junior category. Unfortunately, like Chasten mentioned, in the KA and the X30 class, they're struggling a little bit with carb issues and just overall motor issues, but I think overnight they seemingly have solved some of it. I still think the pace maybe for Golseth is not where he would prefer it to be, but in such a tight field and with how many passing opportunities on this racetrack, like I was mentioning earlier, down the hill towards the bull corner to turn number 4, this is like your second long straightaway that you have many chances to make moves. With it being a fast right-hander bull corner, and Simon, you can kind of attest to this as well, it's almost like oval racing where you can chuck it in there pretty hard even on the bottom of the racetrack and maintain that advantage.
Well, certainly we've seen a lot of drivers over the weekend. That's been a great passing opportunity with the draft you get coming up that hill, the fast turn 1 into the sweeper up the hill. But coming into that corner, we've seen a lot of drivers hold the outside and prevent a move from being made late into the bowl. So it's a really interesting dynamic to watch as these drivers try and fight for position in a corner that's a very, very fast sweeper rather than a big braking zone.
Yeah, exactly here. And, looking at the warm-ups so far, Yago Lempin, RPG Cosmic, top of the board so far ahead of Tristan Murphy and Dupuis. So interesting, top 3 there. 3 drivers that have been quick all weekend, maybe, battling some luck issues more than anything. But for that driver in 4th, Ty Fisher, you saw him put it on pole position in the KA junior class. Didn't even make it out for qualifying in the X30 junior class, but, starting with fresher rubber throughout the heat races, he has been an absolute rocket. Race Lab and TV for Ty Fisher. This might be his weekend. I don't want to curse him too soon, but he's $1,000 richer after that shootout on Friday night. So his confidence is as high as I've ever seen it for the Canadian there. Checkered flag waves for the first of 2 KA 100 junior warm-ups.
And as you mentioned, Ty Fisher, he's been one to watch all weekend, and in this warm-up session, popping up there on the last lap, up to the P2 position, only 7 thousandths off the fastest lap of this session so far. And you can see, like you said, it's a competitive field. These times are tight. Everyone has been pushing it to the limit, and it's easily one of our most competitive categories here. These KA juniors, you see the times are just so close throughout the field. So it provides great racing, and you mentioned carb issues and whatnot, but it's about getting that last little bit right, because if everything's not perfect, you're going to have a rough time in such a tight competitive field.
Yeah, well, let's quickly go over your top 5 for this morning's warm-up session for KA 100 Junior, and I want to correct myself here. It was one big group for KA 100 Junior. So Fisher, Lempin, Westcott, Murphy, John Antonino for MPG Motorsports. That's your top 5, and behind you see Brickley and Chase Piscalia getting ready to hit the racetrack for their morning warm-up session. But before we do that, let's hit a quick commercial break and hear a word from our sponsors.
This is Henry. Henry feels sad. Henry feels sad because it's time for his next big race and his go-kart is in bits. Henry doesn't know that Acceleration Kart Racing is the United States' #1 shop for all of your karting equipment needs. Henry also doesn't know that Acceleration Kart Racing can deliver anything from tires to race suits and even wheels directly to your front door or to the racetrack itself, quickly and efficiently, with tech support available 6 days a week. Poor Henry doesn't even know that Acceleration Kart Racing offers free shipping to mainland USA on selected product if you spend $200 or more. Do yourself a favor. Go to accelerationkarting.com and make sure that you are never left stuck on the pre-grid with Henry. Be smart and don't be like Henry.
Are you looking for an advantage in your competition? Well, Kart Class has done the hard work for you. We've traveled to your racetracks to give you the inside knowledge. So what does Kart Class offer? We've got drone footage that captures the racing lines, visual markers for your braking points, acceleration zones, and the best overtake opportunities on your racetrack. Pedal cam to show you where to brake and when to accelerate, and 360-degree footage to make sure you don't miss any parts on the racetrack. We've covered 13 racetracks in the United States, and Australia, you're up next. So visit kartclass.com to get your track information.
Are you ready to get behind the wheel? From Formula One to NASCAR and IndyCar, all the pros start here. For more information, check us out online at mcckarting.com or call us and go racing today.
Welcome back to the IAME Grand Nationals here. KA Senior warm-up underway. On your screen, Chase Buscali on Mateo Pappas making his debut on the senior side of national event racing there. His dad, Max Pappas, obviously grown up around this place. Very highly decorated karting and race car driver. And then now his son, Mateo Pappas, trying to take in his footsteps around a racetrack that he knows and has grown up on a very long time here, Simon.
Yeah, certainly. A stand, you know, one of those facilities here in the U.S. that stands the test of time. It's been a great track for well over a decade now. We've seen some amazing races here. We're looking for more great action here, both in the super heats and the finals today. And the KA Seniors, one of our most exciting categories, hands down, as we see these guys go at it in another very tightly contested field.
Well, this KA senior class, I mean, they were split into two groups, well, A, B, C, and D yesterday, which means 2 heat races for A versus B, and then so on and so forth for the 3 heat races throughout the last 2 days. One of those drivers being Paulie Massimino, he won, swept, should I say, his respective KA senior heat races alongside Hayden Jones, who won his respective heat races yesterday as well in KA senior. So the 2 hometown kids, or, you know, adults at this point, I can't even say kids. Massimino's grown up in this racetrack. Hayden Jones now goes to college, here in in North Carolina as well. So 2 drivers local to this place, 2 drivers that know this place at the back of their hand, especially on the normal layouts. So for Massimino, Hayden Jones, they have to be 2 of the favorites here this weekend.
And on your screen now, that is James Overback, a driver we've seen pick up his first national victory here this year. And we're going to send it down to Caleb Viesca with more information.
Crazy year for you guys, finally breaking through and getting that maiden national race victory and maiden national championship. Just walk me through this year as a whole. I know you and James have been through a lot together.
Yeah, it's been a wild year, but it's been a long time in the making. You know, it's our 3rd year in senior, and just kind of, I always call it a slow burn, right? Just try to get a little bit better every week. And, you know, I think, you know, the first year, the rookie year in senior, we took a lot of bumps and bruises. 2nd year, we found the speed, and now the 3rd year, we're finding the racecraft and everything needed to be able to win at this level.
And when you saw James cross that line at the Star Championship Series a couple of months ago, how did it finally feel, I guess, to break through and get that first win and then that championship as well?
You know, you know, as you guys well know, we had so many close calls leading up to that, and I guess in my mind I knew it was coming at some point. You know, we were going to be able to put it all together, but yeah, there's you know, I guess a little bit of relief, if you will, but at the same time, you know, the journey is just as fun as the destination, right? So, I mean, being able to be competitive in one of these things, you know, to come home in a second or just lose on the last lap, I mean, there's not a lot to be ashamed of. So, for certain, I think the part that the highlight reel kind of misses sometimes is that last run to the checkered. It looks like a walk-off, right? But it was the 18 laps prior to that were like tooth and nail, you know. So it wears on me. You guys try to catch me all the time. I'm walking around. I'm ready to go back to the tent and wait for it to be over.
And it's actually my fault for putting the camera on you whenever we do. But we got to talk about this weekend a little bit, right? This was y'all's first, I guess you can say, real shot at an IAME Grand National Championship. But just a little bit behind the 8 ball so far this weekend. Walk me through what you've seen, I guess, from the outside looking in.
Sure, yeah. We don't really know what's going on. We've been off really right from the get-go. You know, and I think it's just a testament to how difficult this sport really can be. You know, you can go from hero to zero very easily. But you know, we've done so much of what we've done on a standard setup, just working with Austin and Brandon and Paulie on driving. You know, the conditions this weekend, the heat, the humidity, it's kind of got us off our game just a little bit, you know, maybe from a carburation and tuning. You know, we have been doing some different axle setups and stuff that we just haven't had to do, quite frankly. I mean, I think Cincinnati there at USP Gas was kind of one of the most difficult we had this year from a setup standpoint, just because of the amount of rubber and grip that track had gotten over the course of the summer.
And it looks a lot better this morning. You guys feel like y'all got a good piece going into the main event later on today?
Hey, we're gonna go with what we have, and you know, he definitely has a record of bringing some spectacular stuff in the finals. So we'll see what happens, even coming from behind.
Well, there you guys have it. Matt Overbeck is looking onward as James looks to put his cart up at the front. Back to you guys in the booth.
Some great information there from Caleb Viesca, and really just a great way to understand the emotions and what it means to win at this level from a driver and family that's come so close so many times and finally getting that breakthrough victory. And they're going to be on the hunt later today, looking to find a little bit of pace to try and take the fight to the front of this KA100 senior field.
Yeah, absolutely. But joining us in the booth here, Simon, is a guy who recently just got engaged. If you were watching last night's shootout events right before X30 Pro Senior went out for their warm-up session, Colin Brown, proposed to now what will be his future wife, Melanie. So, Colin, I mean, talk to us through that entire moment. I know this has been kind of in the works for a while now, but finally seeing it happen and the product on screen as well. So, you know, what was that moment like for you, buddy?
First of all, guys, I just want to thank everyone. It's an absolute pleasure to be with you, of course. Yeah, well, you can imagine, like, it was been on my head for the last, been on my mind for the last few months. So it's nice to have got it done, and it turned out a lot better than I expected. And yeah, job done. Really, that's it. I can breathe again.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I gotta say, throughout the entire moment, I think my heart rate was probably higher than yours, to be honest with you, and I think most of us in here. But once it was all done, the sigh of relief in this room that we, made it happen for you. That's one of the coolest things I think that we've been able to do, for this company's existence. So congratulations once again, Colin. And let's talk about the on-track action now, right? You have a couple drivers. You have Raheem Alibi being one of them as well. So, how has it been for you underneath the tent and, for the drivers you've been coaching so far this weekend?
Well, as you know, this track here is like a carbon copy of the original track in Italy, Parma track. So it's a track that I'm very familiar with, obviously, back abroad. I also know that the racing was very tough on that track previously, and it's the same here now. It's a very difficult track to be consistent on. And my driver, the Raheem Alibi that I've got this weekend, he's fairly new into the sport, and we need to practice a little bit more at this track. So we're here all next week getting ready for the Stars race. But so far it's going good. We just got some work to do, but he's fast. We've got to keep at it, really.
You're a driver that's very accustomed to grip out there on the racetrack, especially over there in Europe. So coming here to the States, it seems like this year we've seen more rubber laid down than I've ever seen before at a go-kart track, at least in the last couple of years. Is that what it's felt like on the racetrack right now? And what can you tell us about what you've noticed, with Raheem's data and video?
I mean, it's funny you say that, because the more time I spend here, the more my shoes stick to the track on the track walk every morning. You know, even this morning I was surprised that the rubber is going down. Obviously, like back in the day, it was like a mattress of rubber down. It was really hard to get around the corners. But you know, I'm loving it. Like over here, there's a reason why I've come to America. I love the tracks, love the racing. It's as good when it comes to the hack that there is on track as there is abroad, for sure. And you know, like I said, the reason why I've come here is because I love it here. So you know, no plans to go back anytime soon.
You're a guy that, you know, is around the club level, the regional level, the national level, wherever you get called upon to do your driver coaching and what that may be. So, you know, what have you noticed so far this weekend? A lot of money on the line for these drivers with their shootout races on Friday and Saturday, and obviously a Grand National title on the line today. I mean, overall, the product that we've seen on the racetrack, what have you noticed with the driving standards?
I mean, for me, it's all about the racing. Like, as soon as it comes to race day, that was when I really kind of enjoyed it most. So I've just kind of noticed it. Everyone is kind of out there to kind of kill each other a little bit, which is kind of like how it used to be for me. Like, it's very ballsy and dog eat dog, and I love that. You can't beat the racing around it. It's literally it's one of the best tracks for sure in America for watching the racing. I absolutely can't say anything more about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And so for Raheem, obviously in the K senior category, starting maybe further back than you would like, but nonetheless, I mean, what have you been telling your driver after every session heading into what is going to be the super heat in the final today?
If I'm honest with you, I've just said give it all for nothing, you know, basically just attack mode. We're out to do some damage. So as soon as that flag goes, I want you to go for it, basically.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, for a driver that, is relatively new. I see him all the time down there at IAME Motorplex. So I know he's in the seat a lot. He still does, the Stars races. This is probably one of the biggest, not the biggest event that he's, been a part of here, especially with a super heat style as well. Is there, maybe a different trick entering a heat race called like a super heat where it's really 50% of your points compared to the other 3 heat races heading into the future?
See, for me, like, I can safely say that even when I raced, I just wanted to always be at the front. I didn't think too much about points here or there. My job was to be at the front, stay at the front. So if you go from first to second or to fourth, I didn't care about the points. I just wanted to win every race, and that's kind of like what I'm trying to come across with my driver now. Take no prisoners, go out there and win.
So we've seen obviously a couple of spinners there in turn number 8, but back to you, Colin. We've seen multiple layouts throughout the weekend. The normal Trackhouse Motorplex layout, like you said, identical to what we saw over in Parma for Europe. So we saw the shootout layout on Friday, and then we had the alternate layout yesterday for heats 2 and 3. Which layout you think is the best for you and your driver, and which layout you think you struggle on the most?
Do you know, I absolutely loved the shootout layout last night. The switchback that we ran yesterday is not my favourite. There's not that many places to pass. It's a little bit slow, when they come past you on the straight or even. But the original track is the daddy, it's the king. But that switchback, the track last night for the Exeter shootout, everyone was on their toes, and there was passing and craziness going everywhere. And that's what we want to see. You want to see madness out there as a spectator.
All right, Colin. Well, we're going to let you get back to your driver. I know you have some words for him probably after the warm-up session. So we'll let you get back to Raheem there, and good luck today.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Colin. All right, that was Colin Brown. Once again, congratulations to himself and Melanie, future Melanie Brown there. So huge congratulations to him. My heart rate can slow down now finally after last night. Just because of the nerves for us, I think just wanted to get it right for him, Simon.
Yeah, I mean, Alex, I can say I've been in the sport a long time. There are a few things that I haven't seen. That was a first for me, and one of the coolest things that I've seen at a racetrack, period. So huge congratulations to the engagement there, and really cool to have Kart Chaser be a part of that and help out with the broadcasting of such a cool moment.
Yeah, absolutely. So we shift our focus back to the on-track action. Mini Swift warm-up is almost done here. 35 seconds left on the board, and it's Nicholas Mose topping the timing sheets ahead of Royce Vega. Vega's had a pretty solid weekend so far, up and down, I'd say, for him. A bit of bad luck, but that's been the story of the year for Royce Vega, where the pace has always been there. There's a good look at the Bennett driver there, from Texas. For Royce, like you said, like I was mentioning earlier, right, up and down the weekend so far, but the pace is there. Another driver, Ashton Woon, he's been super fast all weekend long, and he's the driver that won the shootout actually last night for the mini Swift category as well. So as across the stripe, a lot of movers there in the final lap. Like you mentioned, Simon, the tires continue to get better throughout the session. You don't really know what the setup was like for these drivers, so it's really hard to compare lap times, but nonetheless, it's Nico Kwiatkowski, top of the board, Ashton Woon, Macha for SLA Karting group there, and then Payne, Nicholas Mose rounds out your top 5. Vega, Ives, Klein, Bergen, and Samet, all those names are names that we know and love from the national scene. There are so many drivers in with a chance at a Grand National title later on this afternoon. Having said that, though, we're going to hit a quick commercial break and then come back with some more warm-up action.
Brandon, why are there all these charges for just over $200 from Acceleration Kart Racing's website?
That's because AKR gives you free shipping on orders of $200 or more within the continental U.S.
Okay, but I thought you were just getting a pair of gloves. That's what, 70 bucks?
But if I'm getting a new pair of gloves, I might as well get a new pair of shoes to match. And then on top of that, I'll get a neck brace because with the shipping, it's basically free.
Yeah, I do not think the math checks out on that.
Everything you need, all in one place and shipped to your door for free for orders of $200 or more. Exclusions apply. Spend responsibly. Shop AKR.com.
I'm David Serra, 18-time Australian karting champion, and we're launching Kart Class. Kart Class is an advanced digital training program that suits a driver who's just starting out in the sport all the way to the driver looking to win a national championship. In this program, you're going to be learning about how to find the ideal racing line and what an apex is, braking and throttle markers, wet weather racing lines, and how to overtake other competitors. We target how to brake in the wet weather, and we look on the mental side of kart racing as well with our mental skills coach. At the completion of this program, you'll be lighting up purple sectors in qualifying, know when to defend on the opening laps, and how to pressure your opposition into mistakes. We teach you the tools to be resilient and how to get in the right frame of mind before a race. We look to complete the whole package by getting a strong mindset, a driving style to suit all conditions, strategizing your race, and getting the last 1% from your team. We'll teach you how to win the final lap of a race, driving the wet like Max Verstappen, and creating the perfect bubble for yourself to mentally be in the zone. To find out more, click the link below.
Are you ready to get behind the wheel? From Formula One to NASCAR and IndyCar, all the pros start here. For more information, check us out online at mcckarting.com or call us and go racing today.
USA, a top-level performance team with unmatched hospitality, offering a full-service driver development program with year-round testing available in Miami, Florida, and the official North America racing team of Parolin Racing Chassis. Chassis and parts available at ParolinUSA.com.
Brandon, why are there all these charges for...
And welcome back here to Trackhouse Motorplex. We're here for the IAME Grand National Championships. A great couple of action, a couple of days of action so far with Friday and Saturday's events, both the KA100 shootout and the X30 shootout happening last night. But we're on to the main events, the super heats and the finals today. And we're expecting to see a lot of great action as we are now watching the X30 juniors rolling out for their warm-up.
X30 Juniors put on a show, as always, for us this weekend. It's been one of the most stacked fields we've seen, but without Ardiles and Turner Chico Brown, I feel like it's opened up some opportunities for other drivers who haven't gotten a win this year on the national scene to go out there and get it done. One of them being the driver we saw on our screen. There's Gaston Lee. He's looking for his first X30 Junior national win. He got his OKNJ maiden victory at the Stars Championship Series for Newcastle Motorsports Park. Behind him, Alexander Vanchev. He won the shootout last night, $1,000 for Sodi Kart USA and himself. So that's going to give him a boatload of confidence heading into today's super heats and the feature. We saw how fast he was all throughout the weekend. Other drivers being Max Weiland for Magic Kart as well. Super fast. Fionn Shi put it on the front row in qualifying. He's had a rough couple heat races, but nonetheless, he has been incredibly quick. Amador Martinez, his teammate as well. You know how fast he can be. He burst onto the scene, United States Pro Kart Series as well, doing the KA and the X30 Junior package. So for Amador, he has been very impressive for Rawlson Performance Group and the Cosmic Group as a whole. We saw Ty Fisher leading that second group and Vidmontien as well. So all those names are in, with a shot at the victory, and there's so many more that we can mention throughout this long session.
And you mentioned the RPG karts rolling strong. We've seen that through most of our categories here so far, but I would have to say in X30 Junior, probably our strongest RPG contingent with 5 drivers representing the pink and purple on those Cosmic chassis. We're watching them come around to the final, through the final corner, and here on your screen now, a driver that has been a standout as one of the young drivers here in the United States, Lucas Palacio, even finding a great bit of success in his travels over to Europe, and now moving up to the junior category, and a little bit on the back foot this weekend. Just struggling a bit here and there, and it takes time to find your form in these junior karts. The step up from micro to mini, you're not changing the kart, you're changing the engine package. But when you go to these junior karts, it's a bigger kart, bigger tire. There's a lot of different things, and you see how low he sits in that kart. Well, I have to say, I think he is the youngest driver in the field here in X30 Junior, and trying to find good pace and have a strong showing to cap off the weekend here for Lucas Palacio.
Yeah, if he's not the youngest, one of the youngest for sure, and I gotta say one of the tiniest that we see here this weekend. You see half his visor, you can't even see it, through the helmet. So I feel like for some of the corners, you almost have to look left or right, alongside of it to actually peek around the steering wheel. But nonetheless, Palacio has been very impressive over in Europe, representing the States very well there. And so for Palacio, coming back here, hasn't been in the U.S., racing in quite some time, making the step up to the X30 Junior side of things. Like you mentioned, it's a tough package to step into and be very fast at, but one driver who has done a very good job is Ty Fisher in front of him. He's been doing the X30 and KA package all year long, double duty at most of the events that he goes to, but the Canadian, while on the KA side of things, has been very fast, almost got his maiden victory at MCC for United States Pro Kart Series. In X30 Junior, he's been struggling slightly. I mean, the pace has still been there for him because of how rapid of a driver he is, but I feel like that package, they've been struggling to just figure out exactly how to fine-tune it. This weekend has been the weekend that they've really got it all sorted out, and that's why we've seen him super quick in all of his 3 heat races, even having to start last because he didn't make qualifying with a mechanical issue. But for Ty Fisher, through his super heat later today, look for him to be one of the drivers that we see charge through the field. Vidmontien as well. He joined our commentators booth last night for the first round of shootout racing action. He did a great job for us here at Kart Chaser, but on the racetrack, he does an even better job with how fast he's been all year long. Has a couple of national victories to his name. He's going to make it a Grand National title later on this afternoon.
And that 795 machine finding himself at the top of the charts so far here in the warm-up. It is Vidmontien over Fisher. The 2 drivers that we've talked about have been the 2 quickest drivers as times have continued to cycle, and the tires just keep getting better and better. Peyton Westcott and Fionn Shee putting the RPG karts up 1 and 2 on that lap. It'll come to checker next time by. We haven't really talked about Peyton Westcott a whole lot this morning, but she's been one of the great exciting watches so far this weekend. A lot of action, a lot of pace. It's been really a pleasure to watch.
Yeah, Peyton Westcott has been very good throughout the season as well, but this weekend she has been on it. So that entire Rawlson Performance Group, Cosmic crew, like you mentioned, 5 of them here in X30 Junior, and it's a benefit, right, to have so many drivers close enough in pace to where you can go back to the drawing board and say, listen, one of you try this, one of you try this, and then we'll meet in the middle and find a setup that we all like. Even though all driving styles are different, different heights. You see Peyton Westcott sits pretty high in the seat compared to some of her teammates, like Edgar Rodriguez, like Amador Martinez, who sits a little bit higher, like Jose Halfin as well, Yago Lempin. I think she sits the highest in the seat of all of them, so her setup will naturally probably be a little bit different than some of her teammates, but nonetheless, it seems to be working out for her. P1 here in warm-up to start the day for X30 Junior. Gassiet lead P2, Fionn Shee making an RPG 1 and 3 for them, and then Vidmontien, Fisher, Halfin, Banchev, Roberts, and Murphy, the RPM through there 8th and 9th, and then Nate Bolsap spoke with his mechanic earlier on in the day. They have found a little bit of pace here in X30 Junior, only 2.5 tenths off of what the lead crew is doing, so look for him starting P8 in the KA side of things for his super heat. He's going to be very rapid as well.
Certainly, and Gassiet Lee there on the last lap, splitting the RPG contingent. Both Westcott and Fionn Shee turning their best laps, second to last lap of that session. But Gassiet Lee on that last lap, popping himself up 4 thousandths behind Peyton Westcott for a nice P2 result.
All right, well, once we get rid of this warm-up screen here, I got something pretty cool to tell you guys. So to your left, you see Matthew Mockabee. He subbed in for Aiden Levy yesterday after, unfortunately, he was too sick to finish out the IAME Grand Nationals. But on our screen right now, it's a new suit, new helmet. You're not going to recognize that guy maybe from that, but that is Mike Geeson actually driving the RPM machine here for Aiden Levy. So talk about a double super sub for Aiden Levy this weekend. And Mike Geeson, a driver that we haven't seen in the go-kart in a minute, but that's a pretty cool super sub for Aiden Levy.
Well, I have to say, it's certainly been a while since I've seen Mike Geeson behind the wheel, but a driver with a lot of experience, even going back to my karting days. He was one of the drivers I would watch in the senior categories back in my tenure in karting, which has been a while now. So I'm really excited to see how he rolls out and just what the warm-up pace, that first time out, what we can expect from him.
Yeah, so Geeson going to sub in for Aiden Levy next on this side of things. Mockabee's still going to be in the seat this weekend. You saw him with the suit on. He's subbing for Levy in the KA senior package. So 2 different subs for Aiden Levy. He's got 2 different drivers to go out there and root for besides his RPM team today for the Sunday main events and super heats as well. So 4.5 minutes in this warm-up session here. Dalton Haynes leading them out to take the green for warm-up. These are 2 drivers that have a lot of laps on this place. Adakonis a little bit less because he's not in the karting seat as often. He's made the move to cars. He's in the Spec MX5 Challenge Series now, leads the points heading into the SCCA runoffs in a couple of weeks' time. So for Dalton Haynes, he's been super quick in both KA and X30. He's obviously your Grand National champion from last year's X30 Pro main event against Joe Turney. So look for him to be one of the drivers to watch. Massimino as well has been incredibly fast. There's Brandon Carr in the TKG Kart Republic, a little bit further back here in this group, about 7th in line. He's been a driver that I think the pace has been there throughout the weekend, but it's been up and down. Unlike Jacob Kolar, another Kart Republic driver this weekend for them, for Vice Racing. He's from AMR Motorplex down there at Homestead. He's a driver that we know from the Winter Series. He does some of the Orlando, national events. But for Kolar, a driver to watch this weekend as well here outside.
And finding the early pace in the session by a hefty margin. Carter McMurray, who we've seen with really strong runs all weekend at this facility. Let's go down to Caleb Viesca and hear from his dad, Jamie McMurray, on how the weekend's been so far.
Arch, I'm standing here trackside with the one and only Jamie McMurray, multi-time NASCAR Cup Series race winner and NASCAR Cup Series superstar. It's been a wild weekend for you guys and good to see you out here at the track. Walk me through y'all's weekend thus far.
Yeah, it's been eye-opening for Carter to move up and run with the seniors. I have to constantly remind myself that he looks like a man, but he's still just 13 years old. And that bit us yesterday. We made a mistake in the shootout and got into Vera. Had to fix our car, but he's done a really good job all weekend. And I tried to explain to him, it's a balance of earning respect, being aggressive enough, not being too aggressive. They race, obviously in senior, a little different than junior, and that's a learning process, but I'm proud of him. He's done a really good job.
And lastly, I mean, this is a pretty cool event for karting alone. You've had a long resume in motorsports. How do you feel about this event, and what do you think it adds, I guess, to the entertainment factor of it?
Yeah, this is an incredible event. I mean, Eric Jones putting this on, it's unique because of the heat races, the different layouts. I love the fact that the shootout's on a layout that nobody's really ever run, and even the guys that had run that a couple of years ago, you have to relearn it, the limited amount of practice. I think it shows, the skill of guys that can learn tracks in just a few laps. I contemplated, if it would have been me, I wouldn't have practiced. I would have went out on brand new tires and taken my chance on that. So the event is overall really cool. I would tell you that the older I get, 4 days is really long at the kart track. It's been really hot here all weekend. Fortunately, it's cooled down today, and I hope that the rain will stay away.
For sure. That's also one of the big things, right, with the rain lingering on. But I guess lastly, I'll joke around here a little bit. I mean, you're so used to, I guess, turning left. What's it kind of like coaching Carter to go left and right here this weekend?
Say that again?
I said, you have a background in NASCAR, and you're probably so used to turning left. But what's it been like, I guess, coaching Carter to turn left and right?
Yeah, when you're obviously a mini or a micro, there's a lot of coaching. I have learned, though, as we move along, that you can point out the things that I get upset when there's a safety issue, when we don't put our hand up or you make a poor decision. I get upset over that. But as far as like learning, he's old enough now that we go watch the video and I let him tell me what he did wrong. And for me or for us, that has been the way for those things to register better and to stick with him. So not a lot of coaching. Now, Tim Shutt obviously has been a huge help for us. He's coached a lot of kids, and I remember coming out here 3 or 4 years ago, and we couldn't pass. Like, we were pretty fast, but we would catch people and just follow him. And Carter went out and ran 2 or 3 sessions with Tim. God bless Tim, because I would never do what he did, letting these kids get inside him, especially into turn 8, hoping they're going to get slowed down. But great instructor, great teacher. He's helped us a lot, and yeah, it's fun as a dad to watch your kid grow up and develop.
Yeah, no, for sure. So Carter was my pick yesterday. There you guys have it from Jamie McMurray, multi-time NASCAR Cup Series champion. Watching as Carter's out on the racetrack now. Back to you guys, boys.
Thank you, Caleb. Always good to hear from Jamie McMurray, and his son's done an incredible job of moving up to Xfinity Pro Senior at the young age of 13 years old. He made his Xfinity Pro Senior debut on the national level at MCC back at the United States Pro Kart Series. Qualified 6th in that one. He got pushed around a little bit by, I think, some of the guys that are a little bit more experienced in this class. Talked to Jamie, talked to Carter yesterday. They said, listen, I think that was such a good learning experience for him, because their whole plan was to run the IAME Grand Nationals in the X30 Pro Senior level. So having said that, at a track that Carter's grown up on, knows and loves very well, I think having that, that race at MCC, behind you, and you kind of figure out how these drivers race against you, it's something that he has learned very well. And so now I think this weekend we've seen him, maybe get his elbows out a little more than he would have liked. But nonetheless, Carter's done a great job. He is still a driver that I think heading into today's superheated main event has a chance at a top 5, top 3, maybe even a victory if things fall his way.
Well, if you just take a look at our warm-up results here on your screen, Carter McMurray popped up, was sitting there in the P3 position. Collard getting there on the last lap. Ryan Norberg and Hayden Jones, 1 and 2 in yesterday's shootout, find the same form this morning, going 1 and 2 in the X30 Pro warm-up.
Well, we saw, the super sub for Aiden Levy yesterday being Matthew Mockabee. Today it's still Mockabee and K Senior. Mike Geeson now for X30 Pro Senior. That's super cool to see there. But down on pit lane, we actually have Caleb Vieska with Aiden Levy's dad. Take it away, Caleb.
Thank you very much there, Alex. Mr. Levy, it's been a wild weekend for you guys, I guess. Firstly, Aiden's health is the most important thing here. Just walk me through kind of how he's been and how he's holding up today.
Well, I haven't talked to him today, but when I left him at the hospital yesterday, he was making really good progress. It's really going to be a slow recovery because he really depleted himself to the point where it's going to take a while. You have to really give it a couple of days and really replenish his potassium, his sodium. But he's in good spirits. He really wishes he was here. I know he's watching right now. I think he was just surprised to see Geeson in his cart, so I'm probably going to get a phone call in a little while getting yelled at. But we really thought that it would be a lot of fun for the two mechanics who are effectively paid drivers right now, two of the only paid drivers out there today, to go out and have a little bit of fun since Aiden isn't. So hopefully they can both get some good results.
Yeah, and walk me through how that kind of came together, because it was Mockabee yesterday. It's going to be Mike Geeson today. It's been a while since old Mike's been in the cart. Walk me through how all that came together.
Yeah, so I asked Aiden yesterday morning what he thought about Matt doing it, and he was afraid that Matt was going to wreck his cart. But we really thought it'd be a lot of fun. It's kind of a unique opportunity where you don't really maybe always have a mechanic that's been in the cart lately. And Matt, our whole deal with Matt came together when we were in Indianapolis a month ago, and we needed a mechanic for Cincinnati, and he was there working on his own stuff. And Aiden and I thought, well, let's give Matt a try. So I know that Matt's been in the seat a little bit, not a lot, but I thought it would be fun just for him to go out and showcase what he's got and have a little bit of fun at a big event. And who knows, maybe make a dream run. Then with Mike, we were kind of hoping that Aiden would be back today, and now really the gravity is set in that he's still going to be in the hospital for a couple more days, or at least through today or tomorrow. We knew that Aiden wouldn't make it back, and so Mike and I were talking about it, and we said, hey, let's go give it a run. Just let Mike have some fun. So maybe the old man will get a good result. Who knows?
Yeah, well, there you guys have it. Really good to hear from you, and good to hear that Aiden's recovering quite nicely. So, again, we send our well wishes to Mr. Aiden Levy sitting at the hospital now, but we'll look at it as Mike is going to get going. We'll send it back up to you guys in the booth.
Thank you there, Caleb, and really good to hear an update from Mr. Levy. And, you know, I know Aiden probably wishes he could be here. I know he's probably watching, and like Aiden's dad said, pretty funny, actually. Seeing Mike Geeson in the go-kart is probably a bit of a shock to wake up to in the hospital bed.
Yeah, I'm sure. And Mike Geeson, if you're going to find a replacement, he's a pretty good one to have in that cart. But that wraps up our warm-up action here for Sunday morning, and coming next your way is going to be those super heats that we've talked about, and a lot of action coming in the next couple of minutes here. Alex.
Yeah, exactly. So 10 minutes until super heat action begins. We're going to go behind the paywall, and at 11 a.m. you can catch, 11 a.m. Eastern time, you can catch all the super heat action and then into the main event action later on this afternoon. We're live here from Kart Chaser, IAME Grand Nationals here at Trackhouse Motorplex. Don't go anywhere. We're going behind the paywall.